For the past 10 years or so, the Lord has really been talking to me about purgatory. And I have been thinking about that time in each of our lives and how many people are afraid of death and how many people are afraid of cemeteries. And I have to tell you, lately I have been feeling called to go into cemeteries, and since I've been on this vacation, this is the second one I've gone to, and there was one in Maine that I went to, and here I am in Vermont, and I skipped all the stores and I felt attracted to go to the cemeteries instead. So one of the reasons I did this is I wanted people to understand the value of going to cemeteries. Right behind me here is Joseph Benson, formerly of Middleborough, Massachusetts. Says he died April 10th of 1845, 77 years old. He was born in the 1700s. I often find myself looking for the oldest one, I'm a numbers girl first and foremost, who's the oldest one here, but then I think about time in purgatory. The only thing that can get someone out of purgatory is prayers. Your prayers and my prayers. Of course, the time suffering helps as well. But there are two things that come to mind. I read Maria Sima's book, Get Us Out of Here. And the souls used to visit Maria Sima from purgatory, and they would request her prayers. And so they gave her a lot of information about purgatory itself. And one person asked her to ask one of the poor souls, how long does the average person stay in purgatory? Well, when one of the poor souls visited her, it came back that there is no time and space on the other side of the veil. But if we were to put it into numbers, it's an average of 40 years. 40. That's an average. 40 years. Are you still praying for your loved ones that died 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago? What about your grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents? They may be begging you. Anyone. They don't care what nice things you say at their funeral. They don't care that you have their picture on the wall. They're saying, please, I implore you to pray for me. So when I go to the cemeteries, I also ask the Lord, lead me to that headstone, to that person that needs prayers the most. And today I felt called to go to this one. Of course, I've prayed at various headstones, but I've gone to a headstone right down here of a young boy, and it says he drowned, a young son. So it told us how he died. And you see them saying the parents are just grieving. Well, in this case, I also wanted to remind you, when the children at Fatima spoke to Our Lady, and they said, because Jacinto and Francisco were about to die, she informed them, you're not going to make it another year. Would we go to heaven? She said yes. And they also asked her, would this person go to heaven? How about this person? How about that person? And when they asked her about this particular girl who had died at 16 years old, a friend of the family, they said she will go to heaven, but she is going to remain in purgatory until the end of time. Until the end of time. What about Edward or Joseph Benson here? I don't know if Joseph has already finished his time, if he even chose for or against God. But I sat here and said, I want to pray for Joseph. I want to pray for that person and that person over there. And there are a lot of you who are lonely. You have nothing to do, or you feel like you have no friends. You have a cemetery full of friends here. They're begging you to pray for them. I would say go to the cemeteries. Walk through and just see where the Spirit leads you. Touch a headstone. Say a prayer for that person. If you don't have a lot of time, just make a sign of a cross on each. Or today I was saying just short prayers. Lord, let this prayer send this person to heaven. Lord, let this prayer get this person out of purgatory. The other day I was saying a Hail Mary at each headstone. But this is the job of the church militant. This is the church purgative. And that is the church triumphant. These want to get there. And furthermore, when you die, no one believes in purgatory anymore. Who's going to pray for you? Have you told people to pray for you? I will tell you this. When I die, Joseph Benson will pray for me because I'm praying for him. Cemeteries are not just things to look at or drive by or hold your breath when you go past it. The Lord allows for cemeteries so that we can remember the dead. The Bible talks about an honorable death, burying the dead. And I do believe part of that is so that we have these reminders of them 200, 300, 400 years after their death. No one walking around here knows Joseph Benson could tell me a thing about his life Because his life was gone like that, even if he lived 100 years, which he didn't. But he will live in eternity, and it is my hope he chose for the Lord. Pray for them. Teach your children to pray for them. Teach your children the value of death. Teach your children that walking this earth is simply a marathon. Your feet are going to get blistered, you're going to hurt, you're going to need water breaks. But your goal isn't the race itself. Your goal is that finish line. Let your children become comfortable with death. Help them to understand, like the Catholic Church always taught, memento mori, remember your death. Because if you live your life remembering your death, you will sin less. If you remember your death, you will know that this life is finite. Pray with me for Joseph Benson and for all the people in this cemetery. And then it is my hope that they will pray for you. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for watching this informational Bacon Bit. And as always, remember to live your life sunny side up.